Hello and welcome back to Hollowponds Solo Sagas. So today we are going to begin our new series of playing Lancer, the role-playing game. It's a bit more, if you ask me, of a skirmish game than a role-playing game, but we are going to attempt to play it as a solo role-playing game. Part of the reason why it's difficult to solo is the skirmish game element, and because of the skirmish game element you are fighting against an opponent. The game does not have any routines to play as the enemy, as the NPCs. So I have written some and I'm putting them together as a GME. I've been doing it for weeks now. If you want to see the videos, if you want to join the Adventurers Guild, thank you very much for the Adventurers Guild for your support. The Adventurers Guild on the early doors level have been having access to those videos for about 4 or 5 weeks, I think it is. There are more to come as I am still playtesting. Even now, this will go live 3 weeks from when I'm recording it. I'm still playtesting some of the roles, mainly the controller. So as will be routines to go through those things, which we'll go through in time. Now, the role-playing game element of Lancer is a bit on the thin side, if I'm going to be honest with you. As role-playing games go, it's a bit thin. It's a bit like old school BattleTech in being thin on that. And so I have written a GME, which will be out today. As this will go live, it will be out. I have written it. It's this. I haven't done the layout yet, so that has to happen in the next 3 weeks before this goes live. So, Lancer. What is Lancer? Lancer, in essence, is a game of mech combat. Big mechs throwing themselves at each other and knocking 7 bells out of each other. The world is set far, far future. I will put a link actually up there to a nice young fella who does videos on Lancer and tells about the history and stuff. Watch his stuff, it's very, very, very good, and I'll drive him traffic because it's good and it tells you about the world. Basically, the world is far future, it's far sci-fi. In the core worlds, it is a time of plenty, it is a time of replicators, it is a time of universal UBI, universal basic income, it is a time of plenty. On the fringe worlds, out on the edges of the system, it's a bit more Firefly. It's a bit more, in fact, Firefly is a good example. Firefly in the core worlds is very nice, it's very plush, it's very good, but you are under the control of the Union in Lancer. I think it's the Union in Firefly. But on the fringe worlds, it's cowboy land. People are trying to strike it on new planets, trying to get the resources from the new planets. And this is where I suggest we play, and the game suggests you play out on the fringes. So this is where they need Lancers. A Lancer is a pilot of a mech. It's basically a freelancer. You can work for different organisations, but we are going to see our solo game, because this is, though it is a game it's a tabletop role-playing game for a party, we are going to play it more solo. And I'll run through what I've written in the GME, which is advice on how to play with the solo character, how to structure the game. I set out in the GME, and we'll go through it here because we'll use it as well, a sample solo setting for the game, which gives a lot of reasons for you to be there by yourself and a lot of reasons for you to function and a lot of people to you to interact with. We will use the tables I've generated for events and various other stuff. We will go through and we will do role-playing. Now, the thing about the role-playing is, as I might have mentioned beforehand or just had it in my head, the role-playing is an excuse to throw mechs against each other. The role-playing is not the core part of the Lancer game, so prepare for that for this series. There will be large episodes with lots of skirmish tabletop combat with little mechs. I'll be putting up some photos of I mentioned this previously, I've sold nearly all of my terrain because we're moving to the Netherlands at the end of this year, Mandy and I. But I've now been running the 3D printers, printing little terrain so as we can have big mechs. Scale for the terrain that you lay out. Lancer does not really talk about scale. It doesn't really talk about how big the mech is in comparison to a building, say, how big this is. It abstracts some of that information, so it's way less crunchy than BattleTech, but it still has quite a lot of crunch to it. I can't find a GM screen. If you know where one is, that's awesome. If you could put it in the link, that'd be great. Because otherwise I'm going to have to make one, because there are so many little finite rules and I will miss stuff, and if I miss stuff, do point it out so we can learn as we go. But I have been playing multiple playtests of the NPC rules So I've played multiple combats and I'm getting the hang of it now, so it should run a bit smoother and faster. Anyway, let's play Solo Lancer. To start off with, we will run through the sheet I've got, the GME, and we'll go through that process. So we're playing Lancer Solo. So what I suggest when we play this is our setting, our world and the way we approach it is very much like a 90s TV show. That's how we're going to approach it. We're going to have short bursts of activity, which is all geared around an action scene to end an episode. So each one will have a mission, and even Lancer goes through with a mission-based focus, sit reps, situation reports. But we will chain some together for a mission. I've got random tables for generating, and we'll use them so you can see how they use. We've got random tables to generate random missions, so as we can then go off and go and do it, throw some mechs about, and then come back again. And various ways to actually help us not die whilst we're doing that. And it's the same thing with downtime when we're back on base. Now, what setting are we going to use? What I have decided is I've created an outer rim setting. We're going to say we're out on the edge of the Persian Arm, and we're in the outer rim. Now, this is a new expansion frontier for the Union, we're going to call it. It hasn't quite been officially mapped yet, although it's been partially officially mapped, and there are gates that come to it, but there's still massive areas of lawlessness out here. Planets which are being fought over for the resources that are attempting to be mined and used, and basically this whole sector is being struck out. And so corporations are moving in and trying to get properties and get resources and build outposts. Individuals are trying to mine things, colonies are being set up. It's a new frontier. As such, there's all sorts of jobs an individual pilot, an expert pilot, a lancer could get. Freelance work, defending certain outposts. There would be planets we might have monstrosities roaming around that need to be taken out, so we can do missions trying to hunt down the monstrosities. There could be some corporate espionage, some corporate intrigue that we can get involved in. There might be an underlying thing that we can go. So an outer rim, that's my advice. And what we're going to say is one of the main corporations that's moving into this area is, check the timer, did I set that going? I did. Is Harrison Armory. HA, they're trying to expand majorly, and they will be fighting against other corporations. We'll randomly roll them from tables that we've got, picking corporations to do stuff. So why are we here? Why did our character decide to come out here? And then in a minute, I will generate the character with you, and we are going to, for the first time ever on this channel, we are going to use an application, CompCon, which is available from Master Games website, to generate the character and generate the mech, because it's complicated and it's so thin, it's not worth the complication of doing. So we will cut to a screen. In fact, I will go over to the computer, which is just over there behind the green screen. That's a green screen. I'm not actually in a mech hangar. We'll go over to the screen and I'll record screen and I'll do talk over whilst we're doing it, and then we'll paste that in and then we'll paste back and we'll come back to doing the rest of the world when we get the character bit. So, why are we here? So I do a list of things: an ex-Union peacekeeper, a former HA pilot, so for Harrison Armories, colony defension turned mercenary, black marketeer test pilot, ex-pirate trying to go legit. I think we're going to say we're an ex-Union peacekeeper who either we early retired, or we left, or we've come out this way, but we're an ex-Union peacekeeper. That means that we could know Union people, and it gives us that in if we need to know people from the Union to get things done. So we're an ex-Union peacekeeper. I make other suggestions in the GME as well. Hopefully I can get this laid out in 3 weeks, because it's big. It's much bigger than the Orc board one I've done. So I also give a base of operations. So we're going to say there's a space station which is out here in the outer rims on the Persian Arm on Free Verge, and we are going to call this Waypoint Theta Station. So Waypoint Theta Station is an independent space station, so we can have corporate. It's a bit like Deep Space. I visualise it a bit like Deep Space Nine. Whereas Deep Space Nine, so the Federation was there and the Federation did the policing there, but really anyone could go on board. You had all sorts of people on board, all sorts of political machinations happening, people running shops and stuff. Waypoint Theta is our base. And so I've got a series of people: the Overstation Commander, Commander Harlow, there's a mission broker, Vera Quinn, she is then the person we could go to try and get jobs. there's arms dealers, we've got a chief fabricator. So one of the other things about Lancer is reproducing things, fabricators, even fabricators that are big enough to print a massive, like 3-story tall mech, we can get those. There is no limit to how many times, and we don't have to worry about money, basically. Money is not a concern. We are working for prestige and favour. So it is also in that way very much like the Federation and the Star Trek world. There is no money, there's no need for money, it's prestige and favour. Even out here in the rims, there might be some money that would do, or things that would change hand, or tokenage, because we're out on the outer fringe, we're in the Wild West. But strictly speaking, even out here, unless we decide to put it into the story, there is no shortage that we can get of mechs. So we're here as a freelancer trying to make a name for ourselves. I also have got a bar that we can visit, one more before landfall. That where we can sort of do stuff for downtime. I kind of took that idea from Alex T and 1,000 Dead Worlds. So one of the things within Lancer that you can have for downtime is when you go to do downtime, which is basically in between missions, the core of the book is basically doing downtime activities to give yourself an edge during the mission. So you might be trying to get some extra information, break into a facility to try and get some maps or some plans, something to give you an edge for your mission. And so our downtime activities, or if we go drinking at the one more before landfall, then we can get some some bonuses for that. We've got some NPCs that we can interact with. We've got some corporation stuff. But then we get round to, so all that is stuff that you could interact with on Space Station Theatre. At the moment, it doesn't matter. At the moment, what we need is we need our character, and then we can stick our character in a situation, and we can try and generate a mission, which we will do next session, because it will be a whole battle thing. So we will start as a license level 0 character. We're going to start with license level 0. That means we just get access to the basic frame mech, the GME mech, the Everest, and we would then. So the thing is about it is, actually I'll do that afterwards. First off, we'll go through this bit. So why are we here? We're a freelancer. We're trying to make a name for ourselves. We want to prove that we're the best pilot there is. So we're out here, standard thing, Top Gun type situation, trying to prove who you are and what you're doing out here in the outer rims. Now we could generate an NPC. So one of the things I suggest is pick someone on the station, or create an NPC and find out, and that person doesn't like you. I don't think we're going to do that now. What we're going to do is we'll do that once we've started to play. We'll try and see if we interact with it. We generate an NPC when we play for one reason or another, and we will pick one that is actually going to interact negatively with us. Now, one of the things I also, before we go over and we generate our character, and I'll show you how to generate a character, is I would advise, after playtesting this now at the table as a single player, I would advise you to create a friend. You are going to create a friend who will help you. They don't have to be up in the station and do the NPC, the role playing with you. You can be solo doing role play, but on that table you need to have 2 mechs. Now there are several reasons. We'll get around to that when we start playing actual combat. But basically, how Lancer suggests that when you come to a mission, you have an activation. So how you interact with the world is you activate. Initiative is a bit different than other stuff. You activate each side 1-to-1. It's a skirmish game basically. I go, you go, I go, you go, I go, you go, activations. You want to have 1 to 1.5 times the activations for the enemy as you have. So if I come, I bring 1.5 activations on the enemy. Now each enemy, even a grunt that dies with 1 hit, has an activation and can lay out damage as much as anyone else. So if I want an interesting battle, I want more than 1 enemy. So I want maybe 2 enemies or 3 enemies to have an interesting battle. Now if I've got 3 enemies and just 1 me, you get destroyed. You're going to get swamped really fast. Even if they're grunts, you're going to get swamped, because you kill one of them in your first turn, you're gone. These 2 now act. They act and they will lay down damage on you, and you can go down fast. And so what I would advise you do is several things. I'm advising the GME, bring an extra NPC, fully spec'd player NPC, give yourself an extra activation, or you can say you can do aerial bombardments, something like that. So what we will do is we're going to go off and we're going to generate 2 NPCs. I've already got them generated, but we'll see. I'll show you how to do it. Someone who is us, who I have been calling in all the playtests Viking, call sign Viking, and they are more hacking and software orientated, and an NPC who will be a buddy who basically left the Union peacekeeping forces with us and is going to be on Space Station Theta with us, and I'll show you how to do so. Those will be the 2 characters that we will use in the rest of this, as being basically they're a team. So we are the freelancer, and they are the one who's going to help us before we then start to decide what we're going to do some downtime before our first mission, and then roll a mission. So what I will now do is I'll stop wittering here, and you will see the screen go to the screen and all of that stuff. Okay, I'll be back in a minute. Here we are. This is CompCon. So CompCon, you just go to compcon.app. It's also from the Mastiff website. Now what you want to do, you'll need this for both elements of your play. This is for your pilot roster, where you create your characters for your players, and the encounter toolset is where you can keep your NPCs to actually easily create NPCs to fight against. Now you can see these are all the ones that I've created, which I used for the playtesting. It's quite simple to do, and I'll cover this at another stage, but now we'll just create our characters. So we just go to the pilot roster. You can see these are our 2 characters. Our main character is Kay Gullick, who is Viking. Viking, this is the whole thing, but it all print out, and I'll show you how to do that as well. We run through, and this is basically what CompCon has generated automatically for me, but we'll go through that quickly now. So if you wanted to create your character, you go to the pilot roster and you create a new pilot. Now creating the new pilot is quite simple. You can type in the name, or you can randomly generate a name. You can type in the call sign and randomly generate a call sign, and then you have backgrounds. You can select a predefined background, this is all from the book. This is all the standard stuff from the book. Now what we selected for Viking was we selected a mercenary, so we'll select mercenary again for this. So that gives you some specific skills, and it will select them for you. You can then type in a bio or a pirate description if you wish to. This is what I then went on to do, which is I selected a character template. Now the character template will do your mech, as well as the systems type skills that you will have, which I'll show you in a minute. Now Viking was a hacker. BT or Marquis I did as an assault. In the playtests, the assault survives a lot longer than Marquis does as a hacker, but we will do this here. I'll show you. So you select the template as the hacker, and then this will then show you. This shows you what you will come out with. You'll have these skills. You can change them afterwards if you don't like them. And these abilities. Nexus is a type of weapon which is an electronic weapon. You're an electronic weapon specialist as the hacker, and as the assault you are a ranged weapon specialist. There are several advantages. Sniper way distant, fire support is more artillery, and you have vanguard, which is more of a defender. It's very skirmishy, very standard, but we'll go through. We'll select the hacker as a template, then we continue, and we then register our pilot, and that basically we have now created Sarge, which is Rupert Poplick. We can edit it all. We can easily see that we can see the equipment that Rupert carries with them, which is based on the hacker template. You can change these if you need to. The other thing is that basically you can get hold of anything you want to, as long as it's of a certain level and you can justify it within your story narratively. These are, so skill wise, we'll see this afterwards, is basically this is what the hacker can do. They can hack or fix things, they can invent or create things, they can take control, use force, violence or presence of will to direct action to control something. Word on the street, you can get gossip. How you do, we'll cover this at the table in a minute because we'll do some rolling. But you roll a d20, you add any of your modifiers. If you get a 20, it's an awesome success. For a skill type this, If you get a 10 plus, it is mostly a success. If you get under a 10, it's a failure. You can then push. If you push, your second roll has to be above 20. That's the basics of it. This is why I'm saying it's a bit thin. That is the character. There is nothing else to a character. That's basically it. Just this stuff here and the narrative. So this is the character. So now if we go through to our hanger, we can see this is that one that we just generated. This is the character. This is the mech that CompCon has auto-created for us. We can see that it's mainly geared towards tech attacks. It's not so much geared towards having a high hit points. We don't have armor on the GME basic mech. We can see that it's automatically given us Nexus weapons, which are so basically Nexus weapons fire some nanites to go firing across the battlefield and then attack the opposition. A cloud of nanites basically is what these weapons fire, or a ray of nanites. We have a heavy howitzer, which is an ordnance weapon, which means you can't move before you fire it. And then we have some systems which are on board our basic mech, which is a small flight system which allows us to do small jumps. We have a personalization of paintwork, which means that we have a slight extra hit points and a slight accuracy bonus if we decide to give a narrative story to it. And we also have a basic AI on board, so we can dismount, which rarely probably will happen, and give the mech a bit like if you ever played Titanfall, a bit like Titanfall. And then we have some basic manipulators, which is what is given on this on the front here. This is the equivalent, but I'll show you Viking is exactly the same because it's all the same templates. But Viking's mech is called the problem with inertia. And this is the one that I've been using. So if you are an Early Doors member, you will have seen me using this in those playtest videos of the AI NPC routines. And our partner is going to be BT, who is Marquis. They are more physically orientated people. So they have assault, pull rank, read a situation, and survive are the skills that they have, the personal skills that they have. Because they're ex-military. This is the equipment that comes with them. If I show you, they're a mechanic apparently. I've picked them as a mechanic. So they are more mechanically orientated. Their mech is the Orphean, and it is an assault mech. So it has more hit points. None of these mechs have armor at this stage. We'd need to go to a higher license level to get armor, but we'll deal with that in process of play. Marquis has an assault rifle and missile rack and a heavy melee weapon, which is like a collapsible sword, standard type thing. Has special systems to use special ammunition, can fire grenades, and also has smoke to be able to create cover, and the personalization and a paint job to protect them. CompCon is much easier to do everything, because if you want to create an encounter, an NPC for an encounter, it is as simple as create a new NPC, pick what type of thing you want. We'll go through these in play. Striker is an equivalent of an assault, so we can pick an assault. We can then say yes, we want to add a new assault. There is our new assault. We can then give it some additional feature skills. We can say it's got micro missile barrage and auto targeting. And that's it. Now, how do you print these out? I'll quickly do that and then we'll go back to the table and we'll keep doing proper role play. Let's show you Viking. So how we print out Viking is we want to print Viking. We want to print the whole of the character sheet, including the problem with inertia. So we just click print and there it is. We have the whole of the character sheet automatically laid out, and it does exactly the same thing for the NPCs. So this element, which is quite complicated, you don't need to learn off by heart before you start playing. You can just load these out and then start playing. And I think that's according to the little clock in the corner, which I don't know if that's going to show up on the video, but that is it really. That's 9 minutes. Can you see that? My eldest drew that when they were 2 years old, 2, 3, something like that. They were little anyway. That is Darth Maul. And that's it really. We'll leave it at that and we'll go back to the table. I will see you at the table imminently. Alright, I don't know if that worked. I just double checked the recording. I did it just now. This is what I do. I don't script things or do flows. I only had the idea to do that before I sat down to start recording. And so that just used the Xbox basically recording thing that's inbuilt to Windows 11. If you're wondering how I did that, I'd use the thing that's inbuilt in Windows 11 to record that. So if it wasn't that pretty, you know, we do our best. So we have our characters. We have two characters. We've got BT, who is Will's call sign Marquis, so we'll probably refer to BT as Marquis a lot. Marquis is a mechanic and is more physically orientated. And then we have Viking, Viking, who is more tech orientated and more hackery, and Kay, both of them are freelancers. They met on the ship like in suspended animation coming in and the jump gates, and they are on Waypoint Theta. Sorry, they're on Waypoint Theta, and their idea is they're going to attempt to get some work. So I think the first thing we'll do, we'll start it. We've come onto Waypoint Theta, and we'll think of it and structure it scene-wise like a 90s type TV series. So what we would imagine is we would have seen some interactions on the port coming in. Maybe we would see these two characters in the crowds. We're focusing on Kay, Viking. We would have them arrive on Waypoint Theta station, and maybe they're going to bump into some people. So let's have, before we will do an impromptu, we'll just basically narrate a meeting between Kay and BT. We will say that they're on board ship. Every time I record, you probably can't hear this, but I can hear the airplanes go over. It's every time I record on a Monday, and so I do it sometimes sporadically. I record on a Monday, but of course today I'm unemployed now. I don't have, you know, I'm going to be a creative darling until the end of the year. And so that's what I'm going to attempt to do. I'm going to try and do this, just record and do writing. So I'm going to get the Lance book out. I have over the weekend, it's only small. I've written a small, you'll see it at the end of this week. I've written a little role-playing game, just little for a solo role-playing game. I've written a little solo role-playing game. It's a couple of pages. I've not laid it out. I've just like roughed it out for Star Wars, for May the 4th, just to do a little thing. And I've decided I'm going to do a little Star Wars special. Might as well, innit? Right. So the ship has docked with Waypoint Theta Station. Small ship. A few people have come off. They're unloading stuff. As we come off, what we'll do is we'll say that it's bustling. It's a bit run down. If you can imagine it, so I'm imagining it as being, there's stuff hanging around. There's people sort of selling stuff just off of little trays on the front. They're trying to make a buck as they survive on Waypoint Station Theta, and so as they're trying to just get around. And so we've got a table of NPCs. Let's roll on our table of NPCs. And we'll see, we're doing our first dice roll of Lancer, and we'll see who we bump into on this station. So 16, we are going to meet, so Gem and Sprocket, a bickering couple running the junk shop. Gem sells cursed relics, Sprocket sells coffee and regrets. Excellent, that works. So we are going to meet Gem and Sprocket. Now we're going to say that Gem and Sprocket, their junk shop, we've left the docks. We've got a kit bag over our shoulder, wearing a fatigue type jumpsuit. We definitely look like a pilot. We're going to go up, we're basically walking around looking for something. We see that there's a little coffee bar, Gem and Sprocket across the top. There's all sorts of weird stuff hanging around inside it, all sorts of items and things. And we can see that there looks like another pilot who we saw getting on the ship. This is going to be BT. So if I stop every now and then, there's little cuts during this, it's because we live near the airport and the airplanes come over, and I don't have soundproofing, of course, and so it's so loud. Anyway, Gem and Sprocket, there's the pilot is sitting there, and we are going to go over and sit down next to them, and this will be the scene where Viking and Marquis will meet each other, and they will have some interaction. So I don't know if we've got any type of thing that we could. So Marquis has got to read the situation, poll rank, read the situation. So what you do, how this works, is you have triggers, basically, because it's narrative based. This section, there's two clear distinctions within Lancer. It's one of the first games I've seen which has such a clear distinction between two elements of it: mech combat and the rest of the game. The rest of the game is very much your standard narrative type game, where you write a statement like a trait as a word statement. So for instance, Marquis has a trait called read a situation. Now if you can incorporate read a situation into the thing you're attempting to do, and the DM says fine, we are the DM so we're going to agree to it, then you can use that +2 to attempt to do the role. And then you have combat with mech combat, which is basically a tabletop skirmish game. Measure distance on hexes, fight against other things, set things, rolling, taking turns, initiatives, all of that. That is not in the narrative game whatsoever. The narrative game is very, very just this. So we are going to have BT and Viking have an interaction. We're going to attempt to do a role. So we've got Viking has hack or fix, invent or create, take control, or word on the street. So I think Viking is going to sidle up to next to BT and order a coffee off of Sprocket and attempt to catch BT's eye, because Viking, K, knows that though they're a good pilot, they need someone as a wingman, they need someone to back them up. I mean, for example, right, and it's no, so generating the character and the narrative play is not even that. It's much less than that. Mech combat, mechs, and all the other elements of the game is that. So we know what we're getting into. So we were going to have Viking is going to sidle up, and Viking is going to sit themselves down, and they are going to attempt to. So we could use take control, which is taking control of the situation. You can also, you don't have to use the keywords, just to be clear, because it is a narrative-based game. They are providing examples of keywords. You don't have to use their keywords. The ones in CompCon, you can add your own. You don't have to use these ones. So if there's certain things that you envisage in your character, you've got it in your head, you can use those ones instead. So take control is use force, violence, presence of will, or direct action to take control of something. The thing you take control of will usually be something concrete, like an object someone is holding, a gun, a keycard. You might also take control of a situation, forcing those present to listen, calm down, or stop whatever they're doing. So we're going to, so let's say Sprocket and BT are having a conversation. We are going to have Viking is going to try and show that they are leadership quality, they are a pilot, they are special. They're going to sidle up and they're going to attempt to take control of this situation. So we're going to roll a d20 and plus our 2, and we've got 13 plus 2 is 15, which passes the 10. It doesn't pass the critical, which is a 20, but we get a good success. So we get a success. So Viking comes in, sits down, and directly interrupts the conversation that Sprocket is having. Sprocket is having a go about Gem and all the nonsense that Gem sells. And that they just, all this rubbish that they sell, cursed relics, just stuff, it's just rubbish. We need to focus on the coffee part of our deal, and Viking's going to come down and, I'll have a coffee, black, strong, big one. Been on this ship for I don't know how long, and I'm out here to make a name for myself, and this is what I want to do. And just basically it's going to impose themselves in this situation. Now we'll have Marquis is going to say, Marquis wants to, this is BT. This is a standard thing. Probably Marquis BT is going to become the main character. This always happens in the games I play. Marquis is going to say, he's going to try and read Viking and see if they recognise Viking. They read the situation. I'll read out what read the situation is pretty much self-explanatory. But anyway, this is what they meant by it. Look for a subtext, motive, or threats in a situation or person. Use intuition to discern someone's motivations. Learn who is really in charge, or find out who's about to do something rash or stupid. Get a gut feeling about a situation or person. Sense if someone is lying to you. So Bertie, Marquis, is going to try and suss out Viking, because Marquis saw Viking. Maybe they've heard rumours about Viking. let's say, have they heard rumours about Viking? We will use the GME. We'll use our yes/no table, part of the GME, which is D20 plus a D6 for context. I think it's very likely that Marquis has heard about Viking because we want it to happen, which is a 6 or higher, and then we'll see if there's anything. So a 2, no. A 2 and a 2 is no complications. So a 2 is no. It just so happens that Marquis hasn't heard of Viking, so that means this is more important to see if Marquis can suss out is Viking who they think they are. An 11 plus a 2 is a 13. Yes, they get a good read on Viking and they think they know what Viking is doing. They are going to attempt to then pull rank and try and see if they can outsuss Viking. We're doing these rolls. This is all narrative play. We don't need to do rolls for any of this stuff. I'm just doing this so as we can have rolls being done. And I'm then playing to the dice rather than just coming up with it off the top of my head. You can just narrate this yourself because we need these two to get into an interaction and a relationship with each other to then move the story forwards. So whatever happens from these dice rolls, it has to end like this way anyway, and then we'll go off and we'll find a job from the person. So 9 plus 2 is an 11. So Marquis just attempts to get it, passes the 10 threshold, which is fine, but Viking is not so impressed, and then Sprocket will go off and we'll have our two characters will start to interact with each other rather than having a conversation with himself. Well, I might as well. So Viking will start saying, so I've seen you on board. Did you come on that last flight? Marcus is going, yeah. I thought I saw you. Do I know you? Now, does Viking know Marquis? So we'll do the same thing. So it's likely, which is likely is 8 or higher. Very likely is 6 or higher. So we'll say it's a 50-50 that Viking has heard of Marquis. Yes. So Viking has heard of Marquis. A 2 means there's no additional. It's not like a but or an and. If we roll a 1 on this, it's a but, so there's a complication. And is we reinforce it with something even stronger. So Viking's going to say, weren't you? Because I think, so we did, yeah, he's a mechanic. So Marquis is a mechanic. Viking is mercenary, so has a mercenary background. Oh no, I've got criminal down here. Oh, I picked a different one. Okay. And so Marquis is going to say, yeah. That's why Marquis says pull rank. So Marquis must have been of a rank before they left. So Viking has heard of Marquis. They're talking to each other. They're going to share why they're here. Viking is definitely going to share to say that Viking is here with the intentions of trying to make it rich. To not make it rich. It's wrong word. To make a name for themselves. To strike a call. To leave something behind. To make the outer rings better than they were. I was a Union peacekeeper and now I've come out of here to properly keep the pace because the Union does a good job, but we only go to certain places and can be spread so thin. I can make more of an impact myself out here doing this. I didn't leave under a cloud, so I've still got Union contacts, but this is where I want to be and I want to make some changes. Are you willing to help me? And Marquis will, of course, he's going to say yes, because we don't want them to say no, because then, this is the equivalent of at the tavern. And Marquis will agree. And then we will have, we've got enough time. Then we'll have them go off and we're going to have them see if they can get a job. Now we've got the mission broker, well-connected fixer who lines up jobs for independent lancers. And we could maybe roll a mission. So we could either see if it's a corporate mission or we could see if it's a freelance mission. If it's a corporate mission, I do have some corporate rumours that we could have hanging around. We could go off and do another roll of an NPC, but I think we might just do a job. So we might just generate a job for us to do. Let's do a waypoint. Let's do encounters, sites, and events. So let's do, that's places in waypoint theta. So I've got different keywords depending on where we are, but we're on space station theta. We're on waypoint theta. So let's do, what do we see whilst we're wandering around waypoint theta? We'll just use our nouns and verbs. We'll do a couple of verbs as we wander off, trying to look for, we've got, 66, what's that come out? Overcharge, okay, overcharge. What do we see? And 63 overcharge build. All right. So we're gonna as we're wandering through, we're going to witness someone arguing with. We could try and interrupt it. Actually, we might be able to get an advantage of it somehow. We could actually we'll try and do this. We are going to try and earn an advantage on our next mission. Maybe give ourselves some extra repair cap because you can do stuff like that. We are going to see that Huxley Hex. So the fabricator, the chief fabricator, is someone's having a go at them, saying that let's see, we had build overcharged. That their last build, the weapons overcharged too fast and self-detonated. What's Hux doing? This running, so it's the public print works where Lancers and Mercs fabricate the replacements. So we walk past, of course we're pilots, so we go check out the print works first to go and log our builds, because then we're going to go and get a job. And we see Hux is someone having a go at Hux. Viking, what's Viking going to do? Viking's got word on the street. Hack or fix, invent or create. So we're going to have hack or fix. So Viking is going to try and use hack or fix. He's going to go over and he's going to have a look at so they're standing in front of this big readout screen. This pilot is or maybe this pilot is the person who is the pilot is called Jay Eels, who did the layout for Lancer. So Jay Eels, NPC, is shouting at Hex and complaining about a bad build. Hex is saying, I just use the specs. So Hex, belt full of tools, long dreadlocks. Basically the image that I have used, you'll see it in the GME. Dreadlocks fixing, there's a character who's fixing a lot of stuff. That's Hex, we'll call that Hex. So Hex has got dreads, jumpsuit, tools. He's standing there and Hex is saying, I just used the plans you gave me. I built the plans you give me. You told me don't alter anything. I didn't alter anything. If that's not built properly, it's not my fault. And Jay Ills is saying, you did this on purpose. You just hate me. Viking is going to come up and Viking is going to try and spot on the designs what the problem might be, using hack or fix as the trigger, and see if Viking can fix it. Now, if Viking can, we're going to say that Hex is going to give a +2 repair cap to their next build. This is what you do for downtime, basically. You give yourself an advantage for the thing. 19 +2 gives a 21. That is a critical success, which means that Viking comes across and easily spots the problem, easily identifies where the problem is, and starts to point out how it can be repaired and how it can be fixed. So we will get a +2 repair cap for our next mission, which we'll go through next session when we do a mission. So we'll have that little scene, and then we are going to speak to Hex and ask, can we find out, that might be word on the street, can we find out, we'll give ourselves another +2 because of that, can we find out where to go for a mission? Yeah, 19. So Hex is quite impressed. Jay goes off and is annoyed with us. Jay might be our enemy on board Waystation Theta, and we are going to be pointed across to Vera. Vera is the well-connected. Vera is going to be in, actually we will use, Vera is in one more before landfall. One more before landfall is a very chrome, very open, it is a Lancer bar. Vera associates in the bar. Vera sits in a little booth. People come and go. She's got lots of devices on the table in front of her, rolling up different pieces of jobs and different pieces of information. We're going to go sit down opposite Vera and we're going to show Vera our information. A little cutscene with us showing Vera like our license and our credentials, and we are going to see if Vera can get us a job, and at that we are going to do a mission generator, and we are going to generate a quick mission which we'll play next session. So where did the job come from? The job comes from Vera. It's from Vera to Understanding the job. The job is a sequence of missions tied together, potentially spanning different mission types. You might even need a skills-based mission in between them where the pilot has to disembark their mech and get the boots on the ground. No full repair until the series of missions is complete. When the mission is labelled tier +1, you can either face a normal number. Alright, so we are going to do, we will automatically, so instead of rolling the mission class, we are going to do a stand. So there's 4 tiers: grunt level, standard level, elite level, ultra level. I've slightly taken this idea from Alex T. We're splitting up the mission, so when you roll for a random enemy in 1,000 Dead Worlds. So we'll have a standard level mission. So we have 2 choices here. We roll a d20 and we're either going to have a single combat mission or is 2 combat missions with a skill task in between. 1 to 12 is two combat missions. 17 is actually a single combat mission. So we have 1 combat mission. So that's all she needs. So she needs 1 quick job done. It's a quick drop in, drop out, single combat mission. There's nothing needed to do that. So we will now roll another d20 and we'll randomly generate our mission type. There are, strictly speaking, is it 6 or 5? There might be 7 actually. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7 types. You can have a stand-up fight, not really discussed in the book, but I give guides around that within the GME. You've got a control mission, escort mission, extraction mission, gauntlet, holdout, or recon. So we are going to say, what do you want done, Vera? Vera wants a 20. A 20 is a recon mission. We need to go down and do some reconnaissance. Now, I've not played a recon mission as part of the playtesting, and so this will be the first time. So we've got a recon mission. So BT and Marquis and Viking will be told to go down. Now, what the idea of a recon mission is there are 4 points on a map. Our enemy deploys in the middle. We are attempting to go and find so we randomly mark one of those 4 locations on the map as being where the recon point is. The person who finds that recon point first is the winner, basically, between the 2 sides. I'll read the official one. 4 control zones in different quadrants of the map, each placed anywhere in the quadrant. The GM, or we will randomly do it, designates one as the true control zone, while inside a control zone, the players must make a full action to determine whether it is a true control zone. The victory conditions: the PCs at the end of the 6th round, the PCs control the true control zone. Enemy victory: at the end of the 6th round, the PCs don't control the true control zone. So we will deploy that and we will do that. So it says GM should prepare forces of similar size to a normal encounter. They hold some as reinforcements if desired, so we might not. So basically we will have me and Bertie, Marquis, and I will have a second. So that means we have 3 activations. I will generate a force of 3 activations. There will probably be 1 or 2 assaults and another roll. Maybe an artillery, or maybe some form of support. So we will have 3 and we'll bring 3, and we have been asked to go to, let's see, what shall we do as the environment? So we'll roll. So this is from the core book. Where is this? Where does Vera want us to go? 12 earthquakes this world. So if we've got earthquakes, this world is regularly rocked by earthquakes. During the earthquakes, roll a d6 at the end of each round. On a 1, all mechs must succeed, and the whole save will be knocked prone unless they are flying. Okay. So we are. So if we need to go to get that, if we need to get a control zone, so we want to get a recon point. Why are we going down to get the recon point? Let's say, so it's planet side. So if we've got planet side, it's a military installation maybe, or planet surface. Let's roll on the planet surface noun table. We get an 11, rogue drillers. All right, there are rogue drillers. So basically we need to, so why would we need to find out that why for the recon is finding 1 point out of 4. Why are we finding 1 point out of 4? Rogue drillers. Right, What it is we have been sent, so the corporation, which corporation is moving in, we'll roll on the corporate table, and that's who wants to move in and do drilling in this place, and we are trying, so that's another d20, 12, Crownwell Trust, okay, which is a banking corporation. Crownwell Trust, which is banking, okay, they've bought the rights for this place. They didn't know that it's being squatted by rogue drillers. They need the rogue drillers place shut down. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for where the controls are. Once we've identified where the controls, we will hold that location so as they cannot get to it anymore. And at that point, reinforcements come from the Crownwell Trust Corporation, and they will clear them out. But they need a vanguard to go in and do it, and that's the job we've got. Okay, cool. All right, so we will do that. We'll set up a table next session, next game. I'll try and find a map which has got a sort of earthquakey planet side. We'll do some terrain that we can chuck down around the table. We'll create 3 NPCs. We'll probably have 2 full NPCs. Oh, we've got to have, so what is it? So we could do 6 activations, and then, so if we had 6 activations, we could have 2 full NPCs and 4 grunts. So grunts so as we can kill them easily. So we're going to do 2 full NPCs, 4 grunts. We're going to have me, Marquis, and I'll have a second activation. So Viking, Marquis, and a second activation for Viking against 2 full NPCs and 4 grunts is still a bit. So that's a 2 to 1, not a 1.5 to 1. So we might get our asses kicked, and we're doing a recon mission. Okay, that's cool, and we'll do that next session. Okay, so that is basically Lancer. We've sat at the table. Our next scene will be Marquis and Lancer going into the hangars with Hex pointing at the new their mechs, which probably will look a bit like that with our new mechs in the hangar, and then us organising or Hex would have already organised the jump to the planet side. What planet? We'll just call. We'll give. This is the planet's name is Moon 31644. Moon 31644. We're going to Moon 31644. That is where this is, which is drilling. So 31644 is being drilled by Crownwell Trust. So we can start to build up some part of our story. We'll build up some planets. We might even draw a little map of the little area of our operation. So as then we can visit planets again if the story is right. So this is more rocky earthquakes is what this planet is like. It's rocky and earthquakes, so it's a thin atmosphere. So it's a thin atmosphere, rocky earthquakes, and that there is Lancer. That is our first solo session of Lancer. I don't know how long that is going to end up once I cut it all together, but hopefully that was quite entertaining, and we will see what happens next week when we will do our first skirmish full on in anger, as it were, and we will see what occurs. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to purchase the GME, it should be available on drive-thru and iCho as of right now. I'll stick a link up there because, as I said, that's how I'm going to make money now, hopefully. Thank you so much. If you are not a subscriber, if you would consider subscribing, that would be awesome because it will push it out so much. As I mentioned you at the start, I will mention at the end, the Adventurers Guild. Thank you so much for all of your support and all of your help in putting together those flows for the NPCs that we'll see next session. If you'd like to join the Adventurers Guild and see the stuff that's behind the scenes, I'm going to show some how this is recorded and stuff. You can click the join button and join, and that is that. Thank you so much indeed. I will see you next week for more awesome Lancer fun. See ya.